Roddy offensive rebound.
Damn!
With authority. Holy cow, David Roddy.
Leading up to the most recent trade deadline, the Suns front office had plans that of course did not come to fruition. But that absolutely does not mean that they failed to execute their overarching plan to make Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal's lives easier by adding more playoff-worthy players to a roster that unfortunately had a little bit of dead weight, unexpected dead weight. And when stacked up against the likes of this year's Clippers and Nuggets teams, it seems clear there was reason to worry if we're being honest with ourselves as fans. Royce O'Neal is a clear upgrade as a defensive wing, something most people agreed was the biggest need in Phoenix. Keita Bates-Diop was supposed to ideally fill this role, and after a shaky up and down start to the season, I have to admit, he was starting to look a lot more intriguing as he got more comfortable and started knocking down some of those corner threes. But by now, we all should know that sometimes players are consistent from three and then it completely goes away and they can't shoot anymore. See one Josh Okogie, who at one point last season was not only brilliant on defense, he was consistently making the opposing defenses pay for not closing out on him. Remember that 7-game stretch after Durant made his debut where the Suns just could not lose? He played a huge part in that. All this to say that I think this David Roddy acquisition has gone a bit under the radar. Full disclosure, I'm a pretty lazy human being.
We've noticed.
I did my research on Royce O'Neal when the trade went through, but then I started playing Ark.
Jordan, hold on, I need some pants. Jordan!
But now that I've sat down and watched a lot of tape on Roddy, starting back in college at Colorado State, I have to say I am completely blown away. I'm convinced that if he played in a best in the world 6'4" and under league, he'd be putting up Wilt Chamberlain numbers. He's actually 6'4.5", but he's built like a tank, weighing in at 255 pounds. And in shoes, he measured at 6'6". And I'm pretty sure he's going to be playing in shoes most of the time. So the height issue isn't really bugging me anymore. And when you combine that with Roddy having an absurd 8'9" standing reach and a 6'11" wingspan, you realize how unique this guy's build really is. I'm going to break down in detail David Roddy's game, but this video is brought to you by BetUS, where you can play casino games, bet on all sports, and you can get in on some really fun bets during this year's All-Star game. And while I find it weird that Grayson Allen isn't in this year's three-point contest, I'm still going to bet on the eventual winner. I feel like Damian Lillard has got to be the favorite. Trae Young is a very interesting option. And Lauri Markkanen is one of my favorite players in the NBA that's not on the Suns. I'll be pulling for him personally. No matter what you decide to play, make sure you use our link in the description. And BetUS is going to hook you up with a 125% bonus on sign up. Shout out to BetUS. So the first thing that jumped out to me when I watched David Roddy's tape is just how comfortable he is with the ball and patient. He has so many moves, and he takes the time to assess which one he needs to go to. He's got the confidence and skill to get to the rim at will. I'd say his crossover is his most deadly move, and it's flat out weird to see a guy packing that much muscle, have that much wiggle.
Something about that, I don't like it. Either the nigga too big or he too loose. Why he so big to be that loose?
He's really one of the rare instances of somebody who should be playing football, specifically defensive end or an edge rusher, that's highly skilled enough at basketball to make it all the way to the NBA. A close runner-up to his crossover is his devastating post-spin move. He hunts smaller players and abuses them with his size advantage. The only problem with his athleticism that I see is that at the NBA level, he's not always quick enough to get the blow-bys. And he ends up having to bulldoze through people, which he can absolutely do. But he's like a semi-truck with wiggle. It's kind of a weird combination, but I love it. He's not shooting great in the NBA from three, at about 30%, but he's only 22, and in my opinion, his shooting form 100% passes the eye test. Also, he shot 44% from three in college and 44% on catch and shoot opportunities. Obviously, he's not as good from NBA range, but like I said, he's only 22. Now, you hear the comparisons to Ish Wainwright, and of course, physically, yes, those similarities are obvious. But play style, I feel couldn't be any more different. Ish was the epitome of a role player. He basically had zero bag. And if he did have a bag, you'd never know it because he was never willing to press the issue and attack the rim and try to score for himself. Roddy actually has a really good ISO game. And not only does he have plenty of moves to get to the rim, he can be effective in the pick and roll, both rolling to the rim and popping out for jumpers. Now, his thickness works great on offense, but like Ish, it holds him back with his lateral quickness, which is king when it comes to perimeter defense. But when he does make contact as the defender and gets his chest on you, he's pretty effective on defense, really because of his intense physicality. Rebounding is definitely his best trait on defense. A talent, again, that the Suns needed to add to the roster in some way. Roddy is just a natural and high IQ hooper that knows how to play the game the right way. I think his passing will shock some of you as well. James Jones, Matt Ishbia, whoever's really making the decisions, credit to them for being able to pivot so quickly and successfully to make a different trade deal, one that they were not planning on originally. And also credit them for opening up 2 roster spots that they can now use to improve the team even further. In fact, here's a video on their current best options. Check it out.